Reverence for life. Aware of the suffering caused by the destruction of life, I am committed to cultivating the insight of interbeing and compassion, and learning ways to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I am determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to support any act of killing in the world, in my thinking, or in my way of life. Seeing that harmful actions arise from anger, fear, greed, and intolerance, which in turn come from dualistic and discriminative thinking, I will cultivate openness, non-discrimination, and non-attachment to views in order to transform violence, fanaticism, and dogmatism in myself and in the world. True happiness. Aware of the suffering caused by exploitation, social injustice, stealing, and oppression, I am committed to practicing generosity in my thinking, speaking, and acting. I am determined not to steal and not to possess anything that should belong to others, and I will share my time, energy, and material resources with those who are in need. I will practice looking deeply to see that the happiness and suffering of others are not separate from my own happiness and suffering, that true happiness is not possible without understanding and compassion, and that running after wealth, fame, power, and sensual pleasures can bring much suffering and despair. I am aware that happiness depends on my mental attitude and not on external conditions, and that I can live happily in the present moment simply by remembering that I already have more than enough conditions to be happy. I am committed to practicing right livelihood so that I can help reduce the suffering of living beings on Earth and stop contributing to climate change. True love. Aware of the suffering caused by sexual misconduct, I am committed to cultivating responsibility and learning ways to protect the safety and integrity of individuals, couples, families, and society. Knowing that sexual desire is not love, and that sexual activity motivated by craving always harms myself as well as others, I am determined not to engage in sexual relations without true love and a deep, long-term commitment made known to my family and friends. I will do everything in my power to protect children from sexual abuse and to prevent couples and families from being broken by sexual misconduct. Seeing that body and mind are one, I am committed to learning appropriate ways to take care of my sexual energy and cultivating loving kindness, compassion, joy, and inclusiveness, which are the four basic elements of true love. For my greater happiness and the greater happiness of others, practicing true love, we know that we will continue beautifully into the future. Loving speech and deep listening. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful speech and the inability to listen to others, I am committed to cultivating loving speech and compassionate listening in order to relieve suffering and to promote reconciliation and peace in myself and among other people, ethnic and religious groups and nations. Knowing that words can create happiness or suffering, I am committed to speaking truthfully, using words that inspire confidence, joy, and hope. When anger is manifesting in me, I am determined not to speak. I will practice mindful breathing and walking in order to recognize and to look deeply into my anger. I know that the roots of anger can be found in my wrong perceptions and lack of understanding of the suffering in myself and in the other person. I will speak and listen in a way that can help myself and the other person to transform suffering and see the way out of difficult circumstances. I am determined not to spread news that I do not know to be certain and not to utter words that can cause division or discord. I will practice right diligence to nourish my capacity for understanding, love, joy, and inclusiveness, and gradually transform anger, violence, and fear that lie deep in my consciousness. Nourishment and healing. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful consumption, I am committed to cultivating good health, both physical and mental, for myself, my family, and my society by practicing mindful eating, drinking, and consuming. I will practice looking deeply into how I consume the 4 kinds of nutriments, namely edible foods, sense impressions, volition, and consciousness. I am determined not to gamble or to use alcohol, drugs, or any other products which contain toxins, such as certain websites, electronic games, TV programs, films, magazines, books, and conversations. I will practice coming back to the present moment to be in touch with the refreshing, healing, and nourishing elements in me and around me, not letting regrets and sorrow drag me back into the past, nor letting anxieties, fear, or craving pull me out of the present moment. I am determined not to try to cover up loneliness, anxiety, or other suffering by losing myself in consumption. I will contemplate interbeing and consume in a way that preserves peace, joy, and well-being in my body and consciousness, and in the collective body and consciousness of my family, my society, and the earth. everyone could get the Incense Offering out of your practice books. And we say together, in gratitude, we offer this incense throughout space and time to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May it be fragrant as earth herself, reflecting careful efforts, wholehearted awareness, and the fruit of understanding slowly ripening. May we and all beings be companions of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May we awaken from forgetfulness and realize our true home. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. For those who don't know me, my name is Ryan Duffield. We have a very special service today. We're going to be holding the 2022 graduation for our preceptor class. These are people who have worked hard over the past few months to study and integrate the precepts into their lives. I know many of you have come here today in support of our preceptors. You may not be familiar with our Buddhist practices. I'm very grateful that you're all here, as I'm sure our preceptors are as well. We'll have several chants and recitations over the course of the service. Feel free to participate as much or as little as you feel comfortable. And now, Gaji-su will lead our preceptors up. If you can hear me. Welcome, preceptors. Congratulations. Now that you've all gotten comfortable, let's please stand and we'll all... Can everyone in the Sangha please greet each other before we move on to our Heart Sutra? everyone could please find their Rituals and Practices book. On page 7, we have the 3 refuges. We will all say together. I go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware that the 3 jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving-kindness and compassion, and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly, so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. Now we can all flip over to page 8. We'll do the Heart Sutra, and we chant together the name before we begin. Maha Prajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra. The Bodhisattva of great compassion, from the deep practice of prajna, paramita, perceived the emptiness of all 5 skandhas and delivered all beings from their suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is emptiness, emptiness form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind, no realm of sight, no realm of consciousness, no ignorance, nor extinction of ignorance, no old age and death, nor extinction of them, no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cease from suffering, no path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but prajna, paramita,
Therefore the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance there is no fear. Away from all perverted views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in prajna, paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the prajna, paramita, is the great Dharani, the radiant, fearless mantram, the utmost supreme mantram, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the prajna, paramita. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhisvaha. Dhamma prajna paramita hridaya sutra.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Hello again. Before we begin with the ceremony, I want to talk briefly about what it means to be Buddhist. Those who have traveled the path for a bit understand that every sentient being has inherent Buddha nature. It's there already. There's nothing to seek. Just looking within is realizing, spending time in the Dharma that unlocks the door to what is already present. We work here to train our mind, to part the clouds of our deluded thinking so that a bright moon may shine through. An integral part of that training is in the 5 moral precepts. The 5 precepts are a guide for living our life as a Buddha. We want to know how to live in harmony with all beings, and we don't want to put it off until we're enlightened. Namely, the 5 precepts are to undertake the training to abstain from the destruction of life, from taking that which is not given, from sexual misconduct, from false speech, and from intoxicating substances. They have an interesting phrasing to them. I undertake the training rule. Because the lay precepts are established as standards and not as rules. They're guidelines. Buddhism typically doesn't tell you what to do. It simply tells you that if you do this, here are the consequences. They're filtered through the lens of our current culture and Sangha, but at the end of the day, you are the final arbiter of what is good, right, and proper. You are responsible for your actions and their karmic consequences. Calling this a training implies that we are working fully towards living by the precept. It's not a vow of ethical purity that we're obligated to live up to. It's an intention that we undertake to sincerely train to become a person who is able to live up to it. The precepts are one of the most vital areas of practice for Buddhists. They're a definition of the life of a Buddha and of how a Buddha functions in the world. But they are personal. No one can tell you how to live according to the precepts. The lay precepts are designed in such a way that no one can give you the answers. That's why we practice. Over the years, As the precepts begin to saturate a person's life, that's what we call wisdom or prajna. And the activity of wisdom we call compassion. Today, I'll present to you our class of preceptors. These are individuals who have committed to integrating the precepts into their lives. They've studied, practiced, journaled, and discussed. They've read and written extensively. They've served the temple and the Sangha. They've cleaned the temple. They set up for service. They've greeted many of you as you've entered over the past many months. Of course, this ceremony does not mean that yesterday they didn't observe the precepts, and tomorrow they will. These students already observe the precepts as they understand them. And they would continue to do so whether we ever held this ceremony or not. So why do we do it? We do it to make what is visible to them, but invisible to all of you, visible to everyone. We use this as an opportunity to come together as a community, to support them and their practice, and to celebrate the work they've put in. I'm deeply honored to have been given the opportunity to teach this class. I took the role not with the idea that I have extensive knowledge that I'm able to share. Rather, through teaching, I was blessed with the opportunity to look into the mirror of the Dharma and see the image of my own failings and mistakes. This has been an amazing experience. I thank all of the preceptors for allowing me to go through this journey with you. Before we move on, I'd like to read a small section from the introduction to the Dhammapada. I read this on the first day of class. It's a conversation between the Buddha and Mara, the great tempter, immediately after the Buddha's awakening. Then Mara played his last trump. You have awakened to nirvana, he whispered, and thus escaped from my realm. You've plumbed the depths of consciousness and known a joy not given even to the gods. But you know well how difficult it has been. You sought nirvana with your eyes clear and found it almost impossible to achieve. Others' eyes are covered with dust from the beginning, and they seek only their own satisfaction. Even in the midst of sorrow, do you see anyone throw the toys of the world away? If you try to teach them what you have found, who do you think will listen? Who will strive as you have? How many will even try to wipe the dust from their eyes? For a long time, the Buddha sat silent, contemplating the impossibility of his mission. These questions shook him to the depths. In a world of sleepwalkers, how many would listen to someone returning from a world they would probably never see, coming to say that love always begets love, and violence only breeds more violence? In a world guided by passions, how many would be willing to make the sacrifices required to base their lives on these truths? Slowly, his confidence returned. Perhaps, he replied, there will be a few who will listen. Dust does cover the eyes of all, but for some, it is only a thin film. Everyone desires an end to suffering and sorrow. To those who will listen, I will teach the Dharma, and for those who follow it, the Dharma itself will set them free. I'm happy to introduce this new group of preceptors to the Sangha. So thank you, preceptors, for all the work you have done and for the example you are setting today. Now, one thing we always do at a preceptor ceremony is the atonement ritual. It's short. I'm going to read a little bit and then have you guys recite after me, please. For so many lifetimes, I have made mistakes that have brought me such suffering. All of us hold on to internal formations. Sometimes we cannot look at each other. We lose our capacity to listen deeply and to speak loving, harmonious words. Loving and harmonious words. The communications between us meet so many difficulties and obstacles. There seems to be no way to resolve our suffering. Every day, understanding and love are fading. With all my resolve, I touch the earth, determined to follow the teachings of the Buddha. Now, the next portion, I would ask the preceptors please to stand up, and we will do a series of bows to thank all of those and show gratitude for everyone who has gotten us here today. So please, preceptors, please give 3 deep bows to family and friends. Turn and face the crowd. Now please give 3 deep bows to the Sangha at large. Are there any in the crowd who have received the gift of the precepts previously? Please raise your hand if so. Please give 3 deep bows to these preceptors and to each other. Now, if we could have the preceptors split and face each other right here, and then we'll have you bow to each other. 3 deep bows, please. And now finally, 3 bows to the teachers. Thank you. Now, are you prepared to accept the gift of these precepts?
We are.
Do you accept the first precept, which reads as follows? I undertake the training to refrain from the taking of life.
We do.
Do you accept the second precept, which reads as follows? I undertake the training to refrain from taking that which is not freely given.
We do.
Do you accept the third precept, which reads as follows? I undertake the training to refrain from sexual misconduct.
We do.
Do you accept the fourth precept, which reads as follows? I undertake the training to refrain from false speech.
We do.
Do you accept the fifth precept, which reads as follows? I undertake the training to refrain from taking intoxicating substances that cloud the mind.
We do.
Will you accept the gift of these 5 precepts?
We will.
Congratulations. Now we will move on to the presentation of names. Each candidate will come onto the dais and reaffirm that they're ready to receive the gifts of the precepts. They'll then receive a touch from our incense along with a Dharma name. Both of these are meant to serve as a reminder of the vows they take today. There's said to be 3 meanings to a Dharma name. The outward meaning, this is the meaning I will bestow today. It's the obvious connection between the preceptor and the name. Then there is the inner meaning, which is how you continue to embody or struggle with the meaning in the name. And finally, there is the hidden meaning. This is the meaning you can only come to discover through cultivation. Jeremy Blake, will you please come forward? Your Dharma name is Na Sanskara. Sanskara is the 4th skandha. This is the skandha where karma is stored. Na is the negation of it. This comes from the Heart Sutra, where our version translates na sanskara as no impulse. However, impulse is a short version designed to fit the meaning. A more thorough translation of sanskara is the imprints left on the mind by past experiences that then condition future responses and behavior. John Wasorick. Your Dharma name is Upasaka. Your keeping of the Upasaka and consistent practice is inspiring. Upasaka literally means steadfast practitioner, but in practice, it is much more than that. In countries that practice the Theravada, it's a term for the lay leaders of the Sangha. In the rock edicts written by Emperor Ashoka, he uses the term to refer to himself. Daniel Dexter. Your Dharma name is Marga Gachati. Sanskrit words vary slightly depending on their context. Marga Gachati means walk the path, or to walk the path, or one who walks the path. Jacob Russo. Your Dharma name is Atrasta. Atrasta is Sanskrit for without fear. It's taken from the Heart Sutra. Jeff Philo. Philo. Sorry. Jeff Philo. Your name, your Dharma name, is Upaya. It means skillful means. You have shown us how you are able to systematically apply the path to all parts of life. Your deep thinking and steadfast analysis allow you to lead and teach by example through whatever you are doing. Connor Litzner. Your Dharma name is Na Upadana, taken directly from the Heart Sutra. Na Upadana means no attachment. Susan Davis. Your Dharma name is Atano Nato, to be one's own protector, or the refuge is within oneself. Appears in verse 160 of the Dhammapada. Deborah Rocky. Your Dharma name is Anitya. Anitya is Sanskrit for impermanence. Understanding that everything changes is one of the three fundamental aspects of the Buddhist path. It appears in verse 277 of the Dhammapada. Joel Besijol. Your Dharma name is Karunya. Karunya is Sanskrit for compassion, or willingness to bear the pain of others. It is one of the Brahma Viharas. Thank you, preceptors. I now want to present to the Sangha our class of 2022 preceptors. Thank you all for this. I'm excited to see what you will all do in the year to come. Now, we have enough time for meditation, so let's please prepare ourselves for meditation. Would any of our teachers like to share some advice, words of wisdom to our new class of preceptors?
Wow, put us on the spot. You didn't even warn us. You were gonna do this. It's an amazing process you've started. My wish is that you continue this process in however way that works for you. This is a resource, this is a teaching temple, and the teaching, oh, geez. Hello, folks at home. As I was saying, these 9 have started off on a wonderful journey, and they've got a toolbox full of tools that can help you in your practice. And like I always like to say, it's a practice, it's not a purpose. And if you stumble and you get off track a little bit, please come back. Not everybody does from here 365 days a year meditation, doing the right thing. So if you get a little off track, no problem. We all do. Come on back.
Yes. Up, everyone. I remember my first time taking the precepts, receiving the gifts, and not being able to complete them and having to come back. So just like Yang Su said, you might fall off the path, but as long as you get back up and continue to be persistent. My name just means unadorned determination. So just be determined to continue this path of compassion and wisdom, and really just kind of emanating that from yourself. And this process is always unfolding. So the first 5 precepts, just continue going through your life, just remembering that it's not all black and white. There's many avenues to go through and to understand where everyone's coming from. So using the skillful means and understanding that we are all going through our own difficulties, but we also have our own joys. So I am really grateful that you have all came and continue to practice with us. Thank you.
My name is Kunga Nima. I'm one of the Dharma teachers here. It's really wonderful to see so many people completing the precepts. A really big effort on your part to come every Sunday and participate in the meetings and participate in all the little things that keep the temple going. So thank you so much for doing that. I guess the one thing I wanted to pass on with the precepts is when Jingsu read them to you, it was kind of the mundane precepts, don't lie, don't steal, kind of almost like the 10 Commandments, right? But I challenge you to think about them from the transcendental perspective. What does that mean to not steal? Really, what does that mean? Jingsu talked about this in one of his talks, the idea of stealing things that couldn't be owned, like stealing. He used an example of a family member, requesting something of them or requiring them to provide something that, was against their will. So just that idea of taking these teachings to a deeper level and see how they might apply to your spiritual life as well as just kind of your physical life. It's they're not just to keep you out of jail, right? They're supposed to build your spiritual practice. Okay, so thank you so much.
Thank you, teachers. Now, does anyone in the Sangha have any joys and concerns they want to share? We've started doing this where when things are good, when things are bad, we're a community and we're here to help each other. So if you have any joys, if you have any concerns, any successes and failures, any trials and tribulations, please feel free to share. I think, yeah.
My husband and I are going to become parents. We're not going to have a shower or anything like that. we're going to be guardians for two of our grandchildren that are 15 and 17. And my husband is 80 and I'm 79. And please think about us and send all your good thoughts and energy our way. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Adam or Isu. I also did precepts, and honestly, my joy of the entire year, I feel that you guys can't hear me. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll speak up louder. All right. My actual joy of this year is more, again, just like what the precepts teaches, my more awakening of the 5 precepts of, again, more cultivation than just saying, okay, I learned this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. I'm good. I'm not. I have to process it for the rest of my life, and it's a joy for me now. So thank you, and I'll pass it on.
So I just wanted to share a concern. We have my mother-in-law has dementia, and she's been declining for about a year. And so this Friday coming up, we have to take her and put her in assisted living, which she agreed to last week, but she really can't remember more than a couple minutes at a time. So kind of stressful to actually make that transitions for her.
I'd like to share joy in that Hung Soo is here with us today. I'm so grateful that you could be with us for this event to partake in the precepts. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. And since you brought my face out to the open, I've been away. I had medical issues that it got in the way of my practice. And Jeremy, my heart, has invited me to come to join this today to observe his precept taking. I apologize to every single person in this room if my weakness, my not remembering what and who I was got in the way and it hurt anybody. I am blaming nothing. I'm just aware that, as Jingsu said, you fall down, you get up, you start over. You fall down, you get up, you start over. This is the beginning of that starting over. I have taught at this temple since its very beginning, and I realize I have to learn at this temple from my very beginning.
Hello, my name is Mar. I just want to say I'm very grateful since starting my spiritual reawakening time and time again each day for the satsang and Sangha and spiritual community. I'm very far away from all of my blood family over on the West Coast, and being able to come and feel at home within a community without even having to speak to anybody is huge for me. Thank you so much.
I did just want to take a minute to just say this year has been a very long journey, as many of you know already, and it has been an immense learning experience from a lot of things. But I did just want to take time to just say my utmost thanks to you all, especially you, Ryan. You've been a very good teacher to me, and Shane. Every time I see you in the recovery group, or when I do see you, it's thank you for everything. You really kept me on the right track, and I wish you the best of luck with everything in your current life. Thank you. That is all.
My name's Max. First time here, never have been in a Buddhist temple. It's very lovely, beautiful, in fact. Apologies if this is disrespectful in advance. I have a friend that is suffering from a very severe mental illness, and we are actually going to different churches and just trying to open as many doors as we can, honestly, for finding funding for their treatment. We have identified a residential mental health facility for them to stay in and to heal from this mental illness, but it is very expensive, as most of you hopefully know. I'm not sure, but we started a GoFundMe, and I didn't know if it would be appropriate if I could like pass the flyer on. I have it in my car. Unfortunately, I didn't bring them with me, but I didn't know if that was a possibility. If not, I'm sorry for bringing this up during the meeting. Thank you.
All right. No one else has anything? Then let's move on to announcements. Let me find our schedule for the month. Right here. December events. Twilight Holiday Service will be held on Thursday, December 22nd. Our doors open at 6 p.m. 6:30 we'll have bells and a brief Dharma talk and discussion. And then 7 to 7:45 will be a contemplative meditation. Please join us in person or via our YouTube channel. The first Wednesday of every month, this one's already gone, but next month we have the Radical Dharma Book Club. That's via Zoom, first Wednesday of every month. The board meetings are open for Sangha members to come. The third Sunday of each month, 11:30 to 1. So after temple a little bit. Meets here, or you can join via Google Meet. We have Buddhist-based recovery programs. Mondays at the temple or via Zoom. Wednesdays at the Alano Club, and Fridays at the temple or via Zoom. Do you want to say anything about the recovery program? We haven't done that for a while. Might be helpful.
Well, yeah, Friday mornings we meet here at 10:05 for meditation. It's settled on 10:05 because there's always somebody who comes a little bit late.
Yeah.
And then we meet downstairs at 10:30 for the recovery meeting. It's based loosely on the AA model, but it is still in transition, I would say. As we learn how to apply Buddhist principles to recover. And it's for folk who have all kinds of addiction issues. We think normally about drugs and alcohol. It could be sex, it could be spending, it could be eating, it could be sugar, it could be video games. For folk who wrestle with something that has hold of their life, this is the place to go.
Okay. Thank you. And then our holiday schedule, we will have no Sunday service on December 25th and no Sunday service on January 1st. So it'll resume January 8th, I think is the date. So check the newsletters for that and the website and social media pages. Text him. Okay, and announcements? Yes. Do we have a microphone?
We have the Bodhisattva class coming up. Just wanted to let you know about that. For those people online. So the Bodhisattva class comes after the Precept class. If you've taken the Precept class, you're eligible to take the Bodhisattva class. Focusing on the 10 Bodhisattva precepts. It'll be the second Saturday of the month, starting in January, and it'll go through August. So it's a 8-month commitment, I think. And it's very similar to the Precept program. There's journaling, there's recitation practice, meditation practice, prostration practice. You keep that on a regular basis. Plus, we meet once a month to discuss with the teachers. It actually being taught by Yangsu and Kajisu and Tanjin-su will be doing June and July. June and July, everything will be in person except for June and July, and those will be virtual. Okay. So with Tanjin-su is in
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Yeah. So I hope that you can participate in that. If you've already taken the Bodhisattva class, you will be welcome to join it if we have space. So we have 15 slots, and we'll fill those up with people who haven't taken it before, and then whatever is left over, we'll open that up to the rest of the Sangha. And if you want to be, that'll be first come, first served basis. So just email me if you've taken the class before and you want to take it again, and then I'll have a list, and then I'll add when the closing date for the sign up for the class is the Saturday before it starts. So the first week of January, and then I'll add you in, and we'll let you know the details. So you can also look on the website for more information about the class. Thank you.
My name is Gail. My Dharma name is Kachisu. So our day auxiliary sale will be done next week. We have 2 paintings right around the corner and a hand-done wooden Buddha statue that's still available. And in commemoration of today, our precepts, the Buddha Batik will be open, and everything will be half of what the ticket says. So out of celebration for today. And I wanted to say, Kunga is the artist in residence for the 2 paintings that are around the corner. So please take a look at those.
Hello, my name is Josh. I'm going to be doing a quick announcement real quick. I need notes though, because my memory is terrible. So hi there. Our temple operates entirely on volunteer efforts and exists only because of generosity. So in Buddhism, dana is the practice of cultivating generosity, and no one at the temple here receives any compensation of any kind. It's entirely run by volunteers and people who are willing to share their time. Ways to contribute: if you are willing, you can make a monetary donation. There are dana boxes at this end and this end of the hall. You can also go to zengr.com/donate. If you're on YouTube, there's a show more option apparently under the video, which you can click. And there are also, there's apparently a QR code on each dana box that you can scan that leads to PayPal. And finally, if you shop on Amazon, you can shop using Amazon Smile, and a little portion of your purchase will be donated to the temple at no cost to you whatsoever. It's a free program, so please consider signing up for that. Thank you all so much for supporting the temple, either be it through volunteer efforts or through donations of some kind. Thank you.
Any other announcements? Okay. Then if everyone will please stand and turn to page 9 in your Rituals and Practice books, we will say our closing gathas. For all unskillful action ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thoughts, now I atone for them all. Vast is the robe of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddhist teachings for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Endless blind passion, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates without number, I vow to penetrate. The great way of Buddha, I vow to attain. If we could divide down the middle, starting here, and please, everyone, bow to each other. Thank you. Please join us downstairs and up here for the reception. We have food downstairs for the preceptors. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.